Good afternoon, FlossTube. It's Lori McClary, textilist. Welcome to my channel. Hey FlossTubies, it's Lori. Hope you're all having a great weekend. It's been about 3 weeks since my last video, and I've got a lot of things to show you today about everything but the kitchen sink. I have some haul. I have some stitchy gifts that I neglected to show last time. I've worked on a few things aside from cross stitch. I've got a couple finishes. I have some progress and a few things that I plan potentially to be on the list for the next 2 or 3 weeks. So let's get started. Okay, first up is a finish that is a chart that came from summer school. It's from Scarlet House. And I don't think any of these are released. I believe that this is some motifs from a larger release from Tanya, and this is stitched on 40 count Newcastle Summer Khaki. And I did switch up. You'll see here I switched up the font and how I did the numbers and the lettering. And since this was Summer School 21, I put 21 on there for 2021. This is meant to be finished on a box like this. Everything came with it during summer school. And also with it came these 2 pieces of ephemera to put in the box. I've been using the box to stitch or to put my 103s in. And this was stitched in 103s. As called for, other than the changes that I made to the font. And right now, I put this out on Instagram. I'm kind of debating what color to do the box. I may do it in a dark red oak or dark mahogany, which is really similar to many of the wood pieces in my house. Or I may paint it and antique it either maybe with a blue or a red. Maybe even a cream, I'm not sure. I put out there on Instagram, I got lots of good suggestions. And so if you have a suggestion of how you think I should either stain or paint the box, then go ahead and put those in the comments down below. I'm still really torn about how to do it. I can see it many different ways. So again, this is Summer School Box by Scarlet House, and that was a small finish. I've been working on there's several smalls that came from summer school, and I'm kind of working on getting them done. Number 1, because I really want to get them done. They're very beautiful and cute. And number 2, I want to free up a lot of floss that I have. So let's see. I have another finish, but it's not a cross stitch. But I do have a fully finish. I stitched this a couple years ago. Maybe 3 years ago, I'm not sure. And I finally found a frame at Habitat. I think I paid $2 for it. And this is, oh, I didn't bring the chart. This is Stone Street Stitch Works, and it's the time is right, always right to do what is right. It's a quote from Martin Luther King, and it fit very nicely in here. It's not stretched or anything. It's just popped in the frame over a piece of foam core. I kind of like to keep my things where it's not a permanent finish because I may change my mind. But I really do like this. I may go back and stretch it and put it on there. And then it's in my it's in this particular room over by the bedstead. So it looks really nice there. The colors are perfect. So I was very pleased with that frame and that fully finish. I've been stitching on maybe half a dozen things, and I think I'll go through those next for the cross stitch, because this is going to lead over into haul and a little bit of quilting and a little bit of scrapbooking. So I'll try to do the cross stitch first. The next one I spent a little bit of time on this morning when I was watching Carol is the Samplers Remembered. This was also from summer school, and it's ER 1821. And I don't recall if this is from a larger chart, if this was the actual reproduction. I looked really quickly online this morning. I didn't see, excuse me, I kind of have a frog in my throat. I didn't see that it had been released, but I could be wrong. But this was from summer school last year. So if it hasn't been released, it's potentially get released this fall or next year. And this is my progress. And this is being stitched on a 40 count Confederate gray. And it's stitched using weeks, and hold one moment, I'm going to have to go get about that. They were sitting by my stitching chair. So this is the floss that is called for. It came on this beautiful ring. Somewhere on there, I don't remember if it was on the ring or I just put it on there, it was a little piece of silk ribbon. It was wonderful. We got a needle with it and everything. So this all came together. It was a beautiful little project. I gotten started on it. I think I had the outline of the bird and a little bit of the border done. And I think I was cruising along on it, and I put it down because as I was closing in on the outline of the bird, I figured out I was a stitch off. And I looked this morning trying to figure out where I was off a stitch, and I still haven't figured it out. So need to do that, and this will go pretty quickly. It's not very big. I'd say a 6 by 6, and then as you can see, the stitch is pretty open. I love these little tiny samplers because, you know, they fill in those blank spots on a wall. like I have a whole lot. They fill in those blank spots on a wall. They're big enough to, and this one's so pretty. They're big enough to have a little bit of punch, but they don't take up a lot of room. So I was working on that one this morning, and I haven't, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've only been working on about 5 samplers because I've been working on a lot of other things. The next one I'm going to show you is Mary Amelia's Bird by Quaint Rose Needle Arts. And if you haven't watched the FlossTube, what is her name? Macy? I may have that wrong. I'm going to put it down below. If you haven't watched her FlossTube yet, go and watch her FlossTube. It's great. And she has so many beautiful samplers that she's worked on. She has one that she's reproducing right now that I am super excited for her to release it. I hope it comes out soon. If you go watch her latest one, you'll see what I'm talking about. But I love this. So I have a trio of birds planned to do for my room, and this is one of them. And this is how I got from last video. It's going pretty quickly. This is on 36 count, and let's see, where's my floss? Is this the right one? Yeah. So here are the flosses, and there's quite a few of them. If you stitch any of the birds that are released now, I mean, for you to really get that nice variegation, and this is DMC, you really do have quite a few. Now, when I first stitched it, when I was stitching the black, I really did not like the coverage. And what I'm showing right here is the coverage. That's just one strand right there. Now, it actually looks pretty good on camera, but when you look at it in person, it was a little bit sparse. And you could really tell right here where it was kind of sparse, and right here. So what I did, it was not only the black, but there's also a dark blue that is right there. So what I did is I went through my overdyes, and I picked a couple of flosses that complemented those, and then I took one strand and I did one leg over top of the regular cross, which was just enough to kind of fill it in and give it the coverage, but it also gave it a little depth. So one of them that I did the black, I went back and got Black Crow? No, that's not it. Because Black Crow was the blue. So this dark navy blue, I went over again with Black Crow. And if you have Black Crow, you'll see that Black Crow is a blue black. So that worked really well for the navy. I also did one leg over again on the head of the bird, and I did that in blue corn. So again, it gave it a little bit better coverage, just that one extra leg, and it gave it a little bit of depth. And for the head, it kind of toned it down a bit, which I like. I really do like it. What did I put on there? Hold on a moment. Let me see if I can find it. Geez, Laura, you really need to get it together. Okay, it was sitting right there next to my stitchy chair. It is a Weeks Dye Works, and it's onyx. And onyx, if you can see, I don't know. Let's see if I can make it focus a little bit better. Sorry about that. But in real life, onyx is a green black. So it has a green base, and it was just perfect. It gave it just that, again, that slight softening and overtone, and I got better coverage. So I'm pretty pleased with mixing those and how that turned out. I have the tail here, and I have some of the foliage and flowers over here, and then that will be done. It's going fairly quickly, even with all the confetti stitching. The next one that I have spent a significant amount of time on is a new purchase since we talked, and this is Home Place for Christmas. And I bought that on Stash Unload. And this is by Not Forgotten Farm. And I'm doing it on a 36 count, one of my hand dyes. And I picked it because this particular hand dye had some splotches on it. Oh, good, you can see them. See the splotches? And I thought that looked really prim. So I think it turned out, I think the fabric choice was good. And the flosses are right here. They're all DMC, and they're gorgeous. And then I took Christy at Daisy K Primitives. I followed her example, and I changed just one of the colors for the house. I changed it to 355. So I really like the colors. This is going fairly quickly too. I have found that I really enjoy doing a lot of the fill-in stitching. So I belong to a couple of stitching and quilting groups, or sometimes when I'm just really tired, I always go through the process of outlining something so that I have a stitch that I can pick up and just do fill in. And I really like that. It works great at Stitch Group. And then I don't have to unstitch things when I get home. So spent some time on that one. The next one that I've been working on is Peaceful Ways by La Di Da. I have this here. Let's see if we can get that up there. Peaceful Ways by La Di Da. And I really love this. I'm doing it on a 45 count vintage meadow rue, 46 count vintage meadow rue. And let's see, where are my flosses? Here they are. And I'm doing this in, I think I pulled the colors for this. So it's I have a Gentle Arts, I have some DNC, I have a couple of Victoria Model, and I have a Belle Soie. So this is my color conversion, and this is where I'm at. And this is turning out just gorgeous. I really, really love this. I think in hindsight, I probably would have maybe picked all Belle Soie. I really like how it works with the 46 count. It's a lot easier to stitch with, but it's beautiful. I think it's going to be gorgeous. So I'm really pleased with that particular one. That one, it needs to be the morning, really good lighting. My brain needs to be a little bit more fresh because it's tiny. The other one that I've been working on is, let me get it undone here, is a Chessy Me, and it's Sarah Casey Unwin. And it is such a beautiful stitch. I'm doing it in the Call for Classic Colorworks and Weeks. And this is being stitched on a color and cotton hand die called Havana. And this is, let me see, let me put something behind it to see if that makes a difference. I love, love, love this stitch. So I think last time we talked, I had got the border done all the way around. And since then, I've put in, worked on some of the flower motifs there. But this is so beautiful. I love, love, love this. I really do want to get this particular one done this year. So it's going to probably pop back into my rotation pretty quickly because it's not a little girl. It's a big girl. Okie dokie. Let's put that over there. And then the last cross stitch that I've been working on, I really did not make a whole lot of headway since last time we talked, but I made some, so it's worth showing. And that is D Free Tag 1849. And that is from the Heart Needle Arts, Wendy. This is another one I would love to have finished this year. It's a lot of alphabet, but I know that this right here is going to take some time, but I do love it. I'm doing it in the called for silks. Let me get them out here. I love silks, no matter how scrunched up they are in the bag. Here's kind of how I pulled them out. Watch this. Isn't that amazing? It just like, they drop and they look so beautiful. So these are the called for Glorianas. And the stitches I did get in were right here. So she needs a little bit more love and attention soon too. I like having a combination of the higher count, the 40 and 46, which are actually my sweet spot. 36, you know, it just depends on the linen. Sometimes it's a great 36, sometimes it's a challenging 36 where the holes are a little bit too big for one but too small for two threads, and you kind of have to do some fudging, or I like good coverage. I don't like seeing too much of the linen through the threads. So I'm going to clean that up and be right back, and we'll look at some other things I've worked on. Okay, actually before I show you the, non-cross stitching stuff, let's go ahead and talk about some plans. That's cross stitching, and then I'll kind of change over into the other things. I showed a while back that I had worked on, stitched and finished the Stacey Nash Rose Cottage pin keep, but I did it on a 30 count, so it's larger than a pin keep, obviously. And when I did it, I put my initials, my daughter, my granddaughter, my mother, and my grandmother on here. So I've got 5 generations represented on this sampler, and I love how it turned out. It's beautiful, and I think I had mentioned that I wanted to do a similar sampler for my son. So I got the Stacey Nash Butternut House pin keep. Here it is. It's exactly the same size as, in stitch count, as Rose Cottage. So I'll be able to do one for the girls' side of the family, one for the boys' or side of the family. I only have one of each. And do that. So this worked out perfectly for a couple of reasons. One, my son is born in October. 2, I love the colors. I love the fall colors. I think they'll be very complimentary. And I am going to have to do a lot of changes on this sampler to kind of make it fit the reason that I wanted it, which was to have a complimentary sampler for my son. Now, I think it goes back maybe just 3 generations, but it is tradition in my son's family, his father and his grandfather, that all of the children, their initials are MJM. So it's not going to make a whole lot of sense to put a bunch of MJMs on here, although I will have it represented somewhere. So up in the top, in the alphabet, it goes A, B, C, D, blah, blah, blah. And when it gets to J, it says Jack, which you know, kind of draws in the jack-o'-lantern, etc. I'm going to change that up a little bit and make it say Justice. I do have room to play with the alphabet up there, so I'll be able to do that. So Justice is my son's middle name, so that will be up there. And then it's not going to say Butternut House. It's going to say either Liberty's House or Liberty's Tavern. And there's the story behind that. So in my son's ancestry, and you can look this up online and you can read about it. It's kind of interesting. His many times great-grandfather and his sons fought in the Revolutionary War. So if you look up, I think, Old Mark Mintzer, M-I-N-T-Z-E-R, and Revolutionary War Patriot, you'll find a lot of information. I think there's a whole pamphlet written on it. But basically, during the Revolutionary War, he was an immigrant from Switzerland. But I do think that his family actually was from, let me think here. I'm not, because there weren't any Germany did not exist, but it would have been one of the German principalities that existed. And anyway, he immigrated from Basel, Switzerland in 1709. And then he built a farm, etc. in Pennsylvania. And then during the Revolutionary War, he was arrested a couple of times for Revolutionary War and patriot activities, which are very well documented. And one of the times that he was arrested, and he was an old man at the time that this happened, one of the times that he was arrested, he was imprisoned in a warship. So he was arrested for converting some of the Hessian soldiers, which were employed by the British during the Revolutionary War. He actually converted them to switch sides or desert. That was one of the things. And then he was incarcerated on a prison ship in Brooklyn, and the prison ship was called Jersey. Anyhow, how kind of all this ties together, he lived in a little town called Liberty's in Pennsylvania. So that's why it's going to be named Liberty's House or Liberty's Tavern, because the tavern was a place where all of the men would meet to discuss, their battle plans. So anyway, so that's what I'm going to do here, and I'm really excited to kind of change that. I did pull another piece of 30 count Weeks Gray, and here are the colors that will be used. They're all DMC, and I think this is going to be gorgeous. So it fits the bill for many reasons, so I'm excited to get started on that. The other thing I have in the works is another bunny stitch. It's very small. I've had this kitted for 2 or 3 years now. I may or may not get to it, but it is in my plans. And this is Imagine, Dream, Believe. And it looks like it's on toweling, but you stitch this. But I still think it will go pretty quickly. It's all kitted up and has the backing and everything. And I'm hoping I can get to it this year. So that's all the stitching plans, other than continuing to work on the samplers that I have. I do have one more plan. We had market, of course, and I did get a couple of the Blackbird designs, and there is a small sampler in one of them, and I'll mention it when I get to haul, that I do plan on kitting up and starting to stitch. So that's cross-stitching plans. I'm going to go ahead and pause here and put a few things away and come out to the next things I've been working on. Okay, so I've been dabbling in a little bit of wool, and I've been doing some practice stitches in anticipation for some other cross stitches. So I'm going to share those. The first one I want to show you is this adorable little bunny. This is Benjamin Bunny, and he is made of wool. And he's got his little carrot here. I keep putting him on different things because he's got a little nose. I'm not quite sure where I want to display him. I will be making more of these. In fact, I have another one that's in progress that I'm going to show you. But this pattern, I was searching for something on Pinterest one day, and I saw a design, and I went and visited the website, and the designer is, I hope I have it here in front of me. Hold please. Okay, the designer is Lorianne Corliss, and her website is called The Spotted Hair Mercantile. And it's a download, it's a PDF download, and this one's called the Munching Bunny. I'll show you a picture of the outside of the pattern here. I have not put on the little carrots. I may or may not do it. I kind of like it just the way it is, but I also like the carrots, so I might put it on another one. But I love this little, I called him Benjamin. I love this little guy. I think he's just adorable. It was a little fiddly to put together, but after having done the first one, I think the rest of them will go pretty quickly. And the one I have in progress, you can sort of see. So I have the tuffet. It's called the tuffet. I have the tuffet complete, and this time instead of carrots, I did strawberries. So there's the tuffet. And little bunny is not ready. He doesn't have his ears yet, or she, I'm not sure. Doesn't have her ears, doesn't have her eyes. I did dye some wool for the cottontail. Oops, can't lose that. And that one will be complete pretty quickly. So I really, really like how those are turning out. I've got lots of wool scraps to play with. But I invite you to go check out her website. I will put a link, or at least the name of everything, down below. She has wonderful stuff. She has some articulating bunnies that are very tiny, which I will not be attempting. But these are really cute, and I just love them to death. I made a few changes. I did not stitch down the top of the tuffet, and like I said, I have not stitched the carrots, and I didn't use a fly stitch. I used a herringbone stitch on mine. But there's just so many things you can do with this. It's just adorable. So I worked on that for a couple of days, and I'm very pleased at how it turned out. And I think this one is going to be on the spool. So those are something I worked on. The other thing that I started working on, I don't remember who I was watching. I will put the name down below of who I was watching, but she showed a pair, and I don't remember if it was on her FlossTube or if it was on Instagram, but it's like, oh, that's really cool. And then she had a link to a site, which I will also put down below because I don't remember, to someone who has put some freebies out there to do pairs. So I sat and looked at that, and I went and looked at patterns that I had currently and to do pairs. And I looked at what some others, and so several patterns have pairs that are 6-sided. Some of them are 5-sided, and this one is 3-sided, which I think will work for cross stitch best. So I drafted out my own pattern, and I made a practice pair. And this is something I would encourage anybody to do who is going to try a finish that they haven't done before, is if you have some scrap fabric, and I have a lot of scrap fabric, is to try it out before you cut into your linen or your wool or your velvet. And so I'm really glad that I did a test on this, because this is bigger than really what I was hoping for, although I may use it again for something else. And I think that the test one turned out okay. I put some wool leaves up here and just a little stem, and I may go back over and do some embroidery over top of this, but I'm pleased, even though it's larger than what I wanted. Let's see, let's put it back here so you can kind of get an idea, or if you put it next to the bunny, you can see it's much bigger. But now I know how to size it, and the larger size might actually do better for cross stitching, and I think the cross stitching will look nice on this particular shape. I have a couple other shapes that are a little bit more skinnier and have more of a rounded bottom that I have patterns from. I think it's from Crabapple Hill. But this will be great to do where I can do the facing and do stitching on the face, cross stitch on the face, and then do wool or velvet or cotton on the other two sides. But so I've been practicing and working on that. The other thing that I've been practicing and working on is making the eggs. I had showed, here, let me pause and I'll show you back. So these are the Brenda Gervais with a needle and thread eggs that I think they're called samplings number 1 and 2 that I showed you last time. I want to do a semi-flat finish on those. I don't want to make them little puffy pillows. I want to do a semi-flat finish. So I was looking at a couple tutorials for flat finishing, and so I'm practicing again. And I'm glad I did, because now I know, like for this one, I need a wider margin just so that I'm not really having to futz with it too much, that I can do the drawstring method around the cardboard. I think, I put 1 layer of batting. I think I'm going to put more than 1 layer of batting on this one. And then I am going to do, my plan, I'm still working on this one, is to do a flat finish. So it will have a front and back. It will have another one. Now, you may be asking, well, that's going to fall over, Lori, if you do a cardboard flat finish. But I'm going to put a weight right here in the middle. So I think that will work. So right now, that's the plan. You have to tune in next time to see how that plan went. So those are some things that I've been playing with and having a really good time with the little stuff. Sometimes, particularly right now, I've been having a lot of problems with my thumb right here from stitching too much, and my shoulder. So I need to take breaks and work on other things that are not quite as intense. I also really need to go in and get a new prescription. My eyes have been bothering me. So I know that I need to deal with those things, because those are my tools of the trade. You know, your hands and your eyes, they're pretty important. Let's see. Let's go ahead. Oh, I'm going to talk a little bit about Stitchy Kindness. So one of them, I'm going to pop some pictures up here. And what I'm popping up here is from Donna, and she's from the East Coast, and she contacted me and asked if she could send me a few things. And she sent me this beautiful, a couple of containers of this wonderful beeswax lotion bars, and they smell so good. They have lemon balm in them. And the other is a beautiful crystal, and just a lovely, lovely card. It was so wonderful, and it was definitely on a day that I needed that. So I received those from Donna. Thank you so much, Donna. They're gorgeous, and I think of you every time I use the lotion bars, which is pretty much every day. The other Stitchy Kindness that I got was from my good friend Audrey, Stitchy Witch 42. She had mailed me this little bag of goodies. So this is a bag that she made out of, I would guess I would kind of call it corrugated brown paper, and with a beautiful little note there, has my name on it, and some lace, and it says bits and bobs, and it is just chock full of goodies. Let me pull some out here. I can pull a lot out here. There's a lot of stuff in here. There's some, here we go. Come on. Is that all? Yep. Gotta put the lace back in here. I hate to take these things apart and use them, but I know that's what they're intended for. But sometimes you just have to wait for the right stuff to come along. So there was some napkins in here, which you can take apart their tissue and use for collaging over other things. There's some more of that nice paper, some beautiful butterflies, cutouts, some beautiful paper, and oh, I love this. An antique postcard from 1923. Isn't that gorgeous? Sealing wax stamps made with hot glue. That's Audrey's beautiful handwriting. And just a myriad of scrappy stuff. And then the coolest part were these playing cards. So I'm going to show you in just a minute here what you can do with the playing cards, but they're cute. They have band-aids on the back, but I love these. I love that they're small and they're cute. Here's a few more sealing wax and some twill tape. I have some of this, but you never have enough of this because it goes on so many things. And ooh, you know, I didn't see those the first time. These are stamps. Look at these stamps. Aren't those, oops, I'm trying to make it focus here. Particularly the owl. I love owls. And some old papers. And then this really cute, says Merchant Tailor. Ruler. So I'm going to pause one more time and I'm going to go grab what you can and show you what you can do with those playing cards. Okay, so this is the scrap portion of, of the video. So if you take a playing card and you, let me just start out with a clean one here if I have one. I may or may not. If you take, so if you take a playing card and then you cover it with a medium so that you can put paint onto it and it's going to stick, or ink on it, and then you ink it, and then you can cover it with you know, I showed you the napkins, you can tear them apart, but you can cover it with something that is either like a rice paper or a tissue paper, and you cover over it and you get something like this or like this. And then you just kind of keep going. I haven't finished these. These are still in progress, so they don't have anything on the back. They're still a playing card on the back. But they're really cool because the playing card shows through, sometimes more than others. But this is a good example. So you can see this is the 8 of clubs. And you do kind of tear it away. I haven't finished inking this and I haven't put anything on the back. Now, the video where I saw these, they punched them on the corner with a brad and they put a little, like a keychain thing on here. But you can do just about anything. But these are great to stick in pockets or whatever for playing cards. So I'm super excited to do little skinny ones of these two. Now, these are giant cards. These are not regular size. These are giant. And then you could do a regular card, which would be about that big by about that big, or anything similar, maybe old decks of cards that you find, you know, like an old board game that you have that you don't use anymore. Here's an example. Audrey had also sent me some bingo cards. So kind of here's the progression where you have a bingo card, and it's a cardboard bingo card, and you put some medium, and then you ink it, and I started stamping this one. And then this one is also one that I have put some collage papers on. Again, it's not finished. So these are in progress, but they're super fun. And they're great journaling cards, particularly if you put something on the back that would be plain, and, you know, whether it was lined or not, you know, whatever your preference is. It's just about the right size. These large ones, it's just about the right size to do a little small daily journal, maybe like a daily gratitude. I love those. So that was the scrap portion of this video, prompted by the Stitchy Kindness from Audrey Stitchy Witch 42. Thank you, Audrey. I really appreciate it. It's so fun. Audrey and Lisa Prims on Greenway and I kind of every once in a while send some scrap stuff back and forth, so it's great to trade. Let's see. I think what I have left is haul. So I'm going to pause here just a minute so I can put a few things away, and I will be right back. I actually have 2 segments left. I have haul and I have a little bit of quilting to show you as well. So I did get a couple of market releases. I have not got them all. I'm probably going to do my market purchases in batches, probably by designer. So the first one, of course, that came in the mail was Blackbird Designs, and I got A Heart Remembers. It's a booklet. It has some stitches in here that I don't have, like this one on the back. Lisa Kindred Stitcher had stitched this, and I think she put it on a project bag, and I did have all 5 of these. So it was nice to have this in one place. Even though I do have those, I have not stitched them yet. But the sole reason that I purchased this book was for this. And this is the one that I'm going to be kitting up probably right after this video. Pulling the floss that I do have and making note of the floss that I need, and I'm going to start stitching that. I love, love, love this one. I love the darker house. I love the red. I love the muted tones. I think it's just stunning. And let me show you. That one is a representation, or a it's not exactly like the antique, and here is the antique. Now, I dearly love the antique too, so I may stitch it twice. I may stitch one as a sampler to put on the wall, and then maybe this one pull some of my own colors and see what I can do, see how I can manage it and make that a pin keep, because I think that is just gorgeous. So that is some features from A Heart Remembers. There's many more little stitches in here. Oh, there was one more in here that I did not have that I did want to stitch, and that's that one, Remember Me. I also ordered Humming of the Bees. Love this one too. Classic Blackbird. So those came in the mail. The other thing that came in the mail, I think that's all that I have from Market. The next one I'm going to show you is a book that Carol Saltback Stitcher talked about, I think last video, not the one she just dropped this weekend, but I think the last one. And this is an old Leisure Arts. Not sure if it shows the date on here. I don't see one. Oh, 2011. Okay, so it was readily available. You can find it many different places. Amazon has it. You can also order it, I think, directly from Leisure Arts as a PDF, but I really wanted the book because I like books. So it's a book, and it's all Lori Markovic from La Di Da. And she did a flip through of this, and she showed some of the stitches on here, and this is one of them. It's like, ooh, I really, really need that. Very reasonably priced. I think I paid $10 or $11. Can't really show you all of the stitches because they are on the same page. Oh, maybe I can show you a few. So there's that one. That one I also love a lot. I love La Di Da. I love Lori's color style. I love everything about hers. And I get to meet her this coming fall at the Farm Girl Gathering. She is the featured designer. I think this was another one that I really, really liked. So that was part of my haul. I was really glad to get that. I bought, so the bunnies that I showed you, these little guys, these are all wool, but I did want to try making one with some fur. So I picked up a couple of different colors of fur. Just, this is just like 1/8 of a yard, which is just big enough. This is going to be a bunch of bunnies. I won't use all of it because I'm just testing it. I may not like the look of the fur. I'm not sure. So, but I picked up some fur to try out fur. And while we were waiting for the Blackbird Design Threads That Bind fabric to hit the stores. The Fat Quarter Shop actually had this a little bit early, so I ordered this a while ago and I actually got it I think right after my last video. But they have something called Jelly Bars. So a jelly roll is 2.5-inch strips of the entire line with the fabric, which is 45 inches. Then there's something called layer cakes, and those are 10 by 10. And then there's something called charm packs, which are 5 by 5. And then you have mini charms, which are 2.5 by 2.5. Those are all pre-cuts. But Fat Quarter Shop does something a little bit different. They have something called a Jolly Bar. I'm not positive, but I think that this is their branded size. And basically what it is a 5.5, or excuse me, is it 5.5? I think it's 5 by 10. Yeah, it's 5 by 10. So this is half of a layer cake, but this is the entire line. And what I wanted to do, I wanted this, first of all, it came early, and I wanted to have the entire line. The only thing that this does not have, it looks like, is the cross stitch fabric out of the line. It doesn't look like that's in there. I haven't opened it up to see. But I have a lot of the original. So the majority of this line is either, it's a rerun. It's lines, like I have a ton of this fabric right here. I don't recall, I think some of it might be in new colors. The cross stitch looking fabric I think is new. But I really wanted to see what was in there so that when I go to order, you know, bigger quantities of the fabric, I have more or less a sample of what I want to see. Like, that's gorgeous. So I didn't have all of them, but I had a lot of them. And this was just a good size, and it was available before everything else was. And then the other thing I got with this was the Threads That Bind thread keep. And it has the original there on the back. So that came in the mail. Along with the fur, I recently, or locally here at my local quilt shop, I also picked up a piece of hand-dyed silk velvet. Let me take it out of here because it's really pretty. To try. I may try this with the bunnies. If not, it will be used for finishing fabric, but it's gorgeous. I was a little disappointed, and I know it can happen. It really just depends on, particularly with velvet, that there's some fold lines on here, but that can happen with hand dyes. I haven't pressed it out to see if any of that will press out or not. But because you use such little pieces, I'm sure I will be able to work around that. And I also myself played with it. It's still drying, so I can't show it to you because I don't want to drip any dye on any of my other projects. I did some hand dyed velvet that's red because I want to make a basket of tomatoes because I want to be just like Lisa Prims on Greenway. If you have not seen her basket of tomatoes, you need to go back in her Instagram and or FlossTubes and see that basket. The other thing I wanted to make a table runner for my dining room, and it's really hard to get that right color of green and grayish and stuff. Some different lines, and that's the color I really want, and blue, the right color blue for my dining room table for a table runner. I already have the pattern in mind, but I kind of looked and looked and looked, and then I found this particular line. I think it's last year's, I think it's 2021, it might be 2020, but this line is from Jeannie at Country Sampler. If you don't know, she also has fabric lines. When I received it, all of the fat quarters were flat, so I did fold them back up and put them in order. But this is exactly what I'm talking about. These are the colors of greens. They're goldy greens, they're sages. The blues are not blue, they're gray blues. But this is the colors that I needed to go with my decor. There is also this particular line, and I think it's still fairly available, not readily, but fairly available. There is, I thought there was, yeah, here it is. It's gonna kind of pull it here. There are, I call these ticking stripes. I love those. Those are beautiful. Anyway, so I picked this up. This is, I think there's 32 here, so that's about 8 yards. I think there's enough here to do my table runner, or probably also a twin size or a good size throw quilt. So I got that in the mail. So that was all my haul. I think that's all for today. I hope to see you in the next 2 or 3 weeks. Oh, and I have a couple of people from last video's giveaway who have not contacted me. If I haven't heard from them by next video, I'm just going to be going ahead and drawing new names. And for the people who did send me their information, I haven't forgotten you. I haven't sent anything out. My post office is it's a 16-mile round trip, so I haven't been out to mail things out, but I hope to get those out soon. So have a great weekend, everyone, and hope to see you all soon. Bye bye.